Don. All right. I don't know if these guys need intros, but I'll start with intros. In no particular order. Chad on the end there, Rubrehose. Liam, LevelCaps. All the way from Melbourne, Australia, Bogan Caps, Adrian.
Oh my God.
And Kyle from LevelCaps. Let's just give them a round of applause for doing this. I also want to thank NovelKeys for setting this up. They did a fantastic job. This was sort of, short notice, and I think what they've done is great. So thanks to NovelKeys. So we'll go ahead and kick this off. We're 5 minutes in. Artur, are you good?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right,
I'm just going to be doing stuff while...
Okay, a lot of people asked if we could stream this. Unfortunately, we can't stream it, but we are recording it. So if you're watching this afterwards, thanks for... apologies for not being able to stream. All right. So it's been about, I don't know if you guys know this, but it was 5 years since the last KeyCon. So 2019, before COVID, that was the last KeyCon in New York. The original organizer, Matt, is here in the back, in the corner.
Yeah.
He says this is his favorite KeyCon because he didn't have to do anything. All right, so the hobby has gone through like a massive growth spurt since then. I think many of you may have joined during COVID. Some of you I know predate that. I wanted to start out by asking the panelists to kind of, talk a little bit about when they joined the hobby, roughly what year, and what got them into it. We'll start with Chad at the end.
This working. All right, so hi everybody.
Hi.
Hi, Chad. Hi. It's good to see a lot of you. Some of you I've met before, a lot of new faces, but it's awesome putting names to faces, which is one of the cool things about the convention in the first place, right? How to get in the hobby? Before I go on the tangent, so I'm going to keep going with that. So I got in the hobby probably a lot of the ways most people did. Maybe they're building a computer. I happened to be building my first computer. My friend was helping me. And one of the peripherals you get is a custom keyboard. And then, excuse me. And at the time, on Reddit, mechanical keyboards was like always popping up on the front page. I don't know if you guys remember that or not, but I would always see it. And eventually, I went on Amazon. I got myself the first mechanical keyboard. It was like an ASIO or something for $90, which was at the time crazy to me for a keyboard. Now it's not anymore, obviously, but
$90 isn't enough for a keycap.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy.
And whose fault is that?
Whose fault is that? We'll answer those questions later.
Just controversy.
My wife's just like, anyway, that's it. I got the keyboards and impression. There was blue switches. I thought that was cool.
Chad, was that 2016?
That was 2016, I think, yeah. 2016, I started, we were talking about cars together? No, that's just how I got in the hobby.
Yeah, that's how I got it. When did you start making?
I tried making a few. I mean, the cool thing about the hobby in the beginning is a lot of people, there's a lot of people who were, the big community was on KeyCap as well as Reddit, but really a lot of people were experimenting with making caps just because one guy started this hobby, and so everybody's sharing their knowledge and they're posting like how-tos and guides on what they're doing, and everybody's sort of experimenting. And it's really fascinating, and even not, just to make it for yourself, to get in the hobby is really cool. So 2017, I think, is when I made my first one. It sucked. I didn't have any of the right tools, but it was cool to like finally make something and be like, oh, I made that, and it kind of mounted, so that counts.
Chad used a pressure cooker. The first time you get the keycap. Yeah, I'm like,
it's not funny. People, I got yelled at.
Yeah.
Don't you know? I got people shooting me off.
Can you ask me the question again?
When did you get into the hobby and when did you start making?
I got into the hobby vaguely through like a rhythm game called Osu.
That's true?
Yeah, it is actually.
I thought you were baby.
No, don't play Osu. Those people are weird. But that's the guy makes me good. Yeah, through Osu, and I had a buddy who learned about mass drop in like 2017-ish, and then I was like, oh wow, this is such an awesome deal, because there's like the price drops and everything. It was really cool at the time. I was like freaking out. I was like, oh, I gotta buy this. And so I bought like a Vermillo board, and it fucking broke with the... Can we swear? Yeah. It freaking broke, like within like 6 months, and I was like, whatever. So I bought like a Leopold, and then I worked as that's how I got into keyboards, I guess. But I never got super into keyboards. I'm still not super into keyboards, to be honest. I always thought Artisan was really cool. I used to like have dreams about like owning robots, like literally, like multiple for like a whole summer. I was like, it was kind of psychotic. And then I started making caps while I was a lifeguard, because it was like you couldn't go on like your iPad or like your phone or whatever when you're lifeguarding, because people would yell at you. But for some reason they don't care if you like read or do like anything analog, so I would sculpt the whole time, you know. So I spent like 10 hours every single day just sculpting for like a whole summer. And then the summer after that, I was like, I hate my job. And then I was like, my manager at the time, he was like the same age as me. I went to high school with the kid. And he really pissed me off. So this is going somewhere, I promise. And then, so he tried to schedule me for some work that I really didn't want to do. And then I was like, if you do this, I'm going to quit. He's like, I'm going to call your bluff. I'm like, I'm getting paid minimum wage, dude. So then that whole summer, I just worked on caps, and by the end of it, I had the first sale. So that was in 2018, I think I had my first sale. And that's how I got into it.
Awesome. I didn't know the lifeguard story.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody died on that while you were sculpting.
Well, he couldn't say.
The parents would try. There are some crazy people out there. The parents used to like drop their kids into the water to like test you. There's crazy people.
That's what they're saying.
Yes, it's so real. And I saw, oh my God, I'm just telling stories. I saw one kid, like a couple years younger than me at the time. I was like 18. Get in a fight with one of the parents. They were like beefing for no freaking reason. It's crazy. And that's my story.
That's my story. Hi, I'm Adrian. Arium on Discord, LevelCaps. I got into keycaps probably end of 2021-ish, so I'm pretty new. I did some toys before that. And just always worked in art and design and stuff like that. I was on Discord. I'd gotten into mechanical keyboards during COVID because it was a stage where, like all of you, there was absolutely nothing to do but be locked in your house. So I built about 400 Gundam kits. It's not even an exaggeration.
And Australia was totally locked down.
We were locked down for a year, like locked. You could not leave your house, at all. And I had 2 kids that were locked, so that was fun. And then, I started making custom toys before that, but also during that. I think during COVID, I just basically took all my hobbies and just did them 24 hours a day. So I was either doing them or vaping or sleeping. Basically.
It's your life now.
Not much has changed.
Not much has changed. I found this, I don't remember the name of the website, but it was like a AliExpress offshoot that had advertised their I'd seen custom keyboards before. I have friends that are gamers and have custom keyboards. But the way they advertised it looked like kind of a Gundam kit, everything was separate. And there was a little video you watch and you just see a dude's head soldering shit. I'm just like, okay, bye. I bought one of them, built it, started looking into as I do, I always want to know what the top end of the hobby is. So I started looking at where it goes, and I was shocked, at the builds out there and the prices and how many YouTube channels there were and everything. Got into Discord. Well, I was in Discord anyway for gaming, but got into Artisan servers after that because I found what Artisans are, and I met this weirdo, and we spent many a night just laughing and getting drunk in voice chat for months, and then daily, and then he told me all about it. Was every day, every night. It was my wife was like, "Are you getting out of your cave?" What's going on?
I know my kids would come.
Daddy,
are you coming out of the room?
do you love us, Dad? Do you? And then he told me about keycaps, and it was amazing. And Chad's very, very passionate and animated. If you want to get into a hobby, talk to Chad about it. and you'll remortgage your house, you'll become all about it. So that happened, and then I drank the Kool-Aid. I bought all the things and started making caps, and it was like I already had all the sculpting stuff from toys. There was a few differences. So I started by like going with the traditional materials that everyone was using and stuff, and then adapted back, like with clay particularly, adapted back to toy stuff slowly. But yeah, that's how I got into it. I had my first sale, I think, end of 21 or beginning of 22. I did it for a while and just gave my caps away. And I'm going to caps, thank you.
Hi, LevelCaps. I got into the keyboard hobby in general probably around 2017. But then, in order to get into artisan making, I kind of was messing around on keycap while I was looking for custom builds, and I saw a couple junk drawer keycap sales and stuff like that, and so I would enter for those raffles or whatever. But it got kind of to the point where because of my amateur art background, I felt that I could do that, and eventually just ended up picking up some tools and stuff like that. And, doing a bit of gravity casting here, and ending up with those disappointments. After that, I just started buying like the more legit tools, and it was a little bit more DIY back in the day. And so you would buy like the what do they call it, like the paint pressure cans or whatever, and you'd have to rig them up with like these massive screws and all that. So there was a lot of fun, like figuring out that whole process, but it was still like, it was not very linear, so you had to do like a lot of messing around, and I think that's kind of like what kept me like pushing forward into it. It was like there was all these like unknown things or whatever, and lots of new stuff to try out. There's even still like new stuff, new products, new materials to try out today. But you kind of like, you eventually reach a point of refinement with all that stuff to where like you gotta, like the only thing left to refine is like your art, and like, so that's like the interesting part now, but that's kind of it. Like I started building a PC, like Chad, and then got into like, well, I have a custom PC now, I want like a nice mech board, and that led me to places like mechanicalkeyboard.com, where I also bought like, I think their generic brand keyboard or whatever. But then I got into buying like kits off of like one-up keyboards and stuff like that, and then eventually ended up on keycap after seeing like a picture of SA Pulse or whatever. Yeah, I think I went keycap first, then the Reddit. That's pretty much it.
And Kyle, you started making, and then you took a bit of a break, right? What was that process?
So I think at the time I'd been doing it for a little over a year, but this was like 2020, so COVID hadn't even happened yet. It was like stirring up, and we just got pregnant with our first child, and so like that was completely new territory for me. So like I felt like I had to drop everything and like figure out where I was going, and unfortunately that kind of like took me out of the hobby for like almost a year.
Well, we're glad you're back.
He came back with the fire.
So on the topic of coming back, so Chad and Liam, you guys have launched new brands. Chad, you started out as badchad, and now Rubrehose, and Liam, you launched Rubrehose. Talk a little bit about what the thought process is behind a new brand, because you've got an established thing. Like what led you to want to try something?
That's an interesting question. I definitely wasn't the first to do it. The more we're the first to do a lot of people have done it in the past. The biggest reason for me, and it sounds kind of dumb, but I was the duck guy. I was the only guy making ducks, and I've had like 3 iterations of ducks. They were good. They get better. Like every iteration was better, I thought. But you reach kind of like
A duck plateau?
a plateau. Like you reach a duck plateau. I like ducks.
Plateau.
I like ducks, but I don't like them that much. But you hit a plateau, and it's sort of like a creative mental block. You know what I mean? I'm sure a lot of you experience this in different facets of your life, but you reach a point where you're like, for me, this isn't fun anymore. You know, I feel like I'm just struggling to come up with a colorway or whatever. It's not why we started doing it in the first place. It's because it's such a fun thing, really just making it, all the pieces coming together, and then demoing, you pull it out, and you're like, wow, this is awesome. So I had free time. This was maybe on like sort of the tail end of COVID, but everyone's still being careful. So fortunately, I had my parents to help watch it. They didn't think Owen was born then. Whatever. But my parents were helping the kid. We had like maybe 2 weeks. I said, you know what I'm going to do? I finally sculpted something that I really want to do, which is in the same vein as the duck. It's a Daffy Duck, but the same art styles with the old Rubrehose stuff. And I was like, I think I'm good enough to maybe try and do what I like visualize myself doing in the beginning, but maybe now I can actually manifest it. And it went well. I mean, the reception was pretty good, and I was happy. Yeah. So just a rebrand. I didn't want to be the duck guy. I didn't want to go by badchad. I was like, I made like four different Instagram accounts all that same day. One was like dumbass caps. One was I don't know. I stuck with Rubrehose just because it was probably appropriate. And that was it. I just been having fun. So I told myself after the rebrand, just to keep having fun and try not to get to that point where it becomes too jobby or too much like a web.
They're talking about how everyone's a guy.
Where?
Everyone's a guy. You're a dog guy now. I'm a cat guy.
Oh, he's a teeth guy.
Yeah.
If you don't know him, he's literally a teeth guy. Tell everybody. He's a teeth guy. Like, and when you go to this table, look at all this stuff. Everything's teeth. I'm kidding. It's so bad.
You can't even see
But
it.
check out what we made. I mean, it's also cool to see like people's first sculpts and then compare it to the latest thing they've done and just the evolution. It goes for everybody. I know like Ben's out there, he's got his own table. He's got all his prototypes. You got to see all of them. It's such a cool hobby. Hobby's awesome. There's Frank. Frank has been in it for so long. Really awesome. We'll be talking later. There's time lots to talk about. Yeah, it's pretty great. Goodbye, Caps.
Can you ask you again?
What made you think to launch Goodbye Caps? Is that more fun? Do you really want to like make that a brand?
So I'd been sitting on the Goodbye Caps handle for almost since I started, honestly. I don't know, someone just mentioned it, I was like, I don't really want someone else to grab that and like make a fool of me or something, but...
So it was a choice out of
It was a defensive move.
Yeah, it was a defensive move. But now at this point, it's, I don't know, I had some sculpts and then the LevelCaps Instagram got kind of, I don't know, I don't want to say like got too big or anything, but it's a little more stressful to post on it. And so, and at the same time, like everyone expects the cats on that account and stuff like that. And so I felt weird kind of doing something a little more edgy or whatever. Not that it is, but I just felt weird doing it. So it was nice to have the Goodbye Caps as an alternative platform. And then with that account, also it's like I can just do whatever I want, basically. Like I can throw colors in there and see what works and see if people like it. If they don't, I don't really care. It's just a lot less stress, you know. That's the main motivating factor. And it's nice to just have the separation of the cute stuff and like the not so cute stuff. I think it's I don't know, it's fun. It suits me, I think.
So if you do more non-cat stuff, would you do it under that or?
Yeah, so the plan is anything that's like just cutesy goes on hello, and then anything not really cute goes on goodbye. Just
Cool. Adrian, so you started making during COVID.
Yeah.
But you know all these guys from pre-COVID. Do you think that, and there was a massive explosion of hobbies,
Yeah.
do you think that it was easier for you or harder for you launching during COVID versus all the guys that did before?
I think both.
In what ways?
So in terms of like, you had a larger audience that were like at home, always at their screens, always eager to consume media and eager to see new things. So there was a lot more people there, but there was also such a like established meta or whatever it is.
Let me just hold the audience.
Yeah.
How many of you started 2020 or later? 2020 was like,
Oh, okay.
A lot of old
A
heads.
few of us.
A lot of old heads.
Yeah, a lot of old heads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. So yeah, like that's why I guess I didn't have a sale for a long time. So in the beginning, like the way Chad had told me about the hobby and all of that stuff, the thing that got me really hooked in was all the lore and the old stuff. And so I spent most of my time on Geek Hack, like trying to find pages that weren't error 404 to read. And yeah, just kept like saving them and making little files like sculpt. I had a binge file. I think I still have a binge file. Like, and I would just like read through shit and try and work out. Because also I feel like the old stuff, they were kind of secretive about how they did it. It's not like now where like you hit someone up and they're like, oh, how do you do that? And they're like, oh, well, let me just sit you down for 3 hours. But it used to be like, oh, how did you do it? And then the guy would just peace out and just not post for 3 years. And, it was like they would throw a smoke bomb and like, hunt a key. But yeah, so it was, I find it fun to like decipher that shit. So I would look at it, I would look at the tools, I would like look at the background of their photos even. And then
Yeah. You gotta
see what's in the background. Yeah, you're like me. You're And then I would get up. I'd always been voice with Chad. And Chad would be like, "Hey, I'm about to DM you this photo. I think this is what's going on. What do you think is going on?" He'd be like, "Well, word on the street from back then is blah blah blah." And I loved that.
Yeah.
Because it was like
Something
weird. Yeah, it was solving a mystery and also playing D&D and also like. Yeah.
and how would you you were in other art forms before this?
Yeah.
So you were a graffiti artist.
Yeah.
You did aquascaping.
Yeah, I did like vertical gardens, green walls, aquascaping, like
And then you did toys a little bit.
yeah, I did toys, I did oil painting for a while. Like,
So how do you compare those art forms to this one in terms of the community or the process?
it's completely different, all of them. I think all of them have similarities, except keycaps. Keycaps feels like it's a much better community. It's the best community, just so you guys know, honestly. Like, I'm not saying that to fluff you up. Like, I don't do any of the other shit you want. I just don't. Unless I just feel like it. But I'm not in those communities anymore. Like, keycaps, I feel like both ends of the spectrum get to interact in a way that they don't in every other hobby. So like, as a graffiti artist, you'll get people come when you're doing a legal wall to see their favourite artist, but they don't come and talk to you or anything. They might ask you for a lighter, but that's about it. And at the toy cons and stuff, it's funny, like there's an in-joke sort of at some of the toy conventions where really good artists will man their own booths. It's not as common as here where the artist is like talking to you and eating with you and everything like that. They kind of hide away, and there's like retailers and sort of like agents that have like 5 different makers in front of them and they sell their stuff. So there's like a meme where someone like quote unquote famous will stand in front of their own thing and no one knows. And no one says shit to them. Whereas here, like, we're all friends. And we also get feedback in a way that sort of like is transformative to our work. So like someone might come up to you or like commissions, someone will hit you up and say, I really want one that's like cold cast fluoro, no face, with Dracula teeth, paranoid. And I want it on an Alp stem. And I want a cast in cookie dough. And you get those and like, a lot of them are crazy, but some of them you're like, wow, that's a really good idea. And then from that, it'll flow a lot of other ideas and be transformative to your work.
So I agree. I've always felt like, take any other hobby you guys like, whether it's comic books, movies, art, whatever. you can't just reach out to the author or your favorite director or actor or whatever and just engage like you can with these guys, right? But I always feel like that's a double-edged sword, and I'm not a maker, so I can't speak to it, but I'm curious to get your perspective and how you do. Like, if you're an outgoing personality where you like to engage, it's great, but if you're an introvert...
I'll give him the microphone.
What's it like how do you handle that, you know?
I mean, I would say I'm like pretty introvert dominant, but you know, I'm sure some people can attest that.
We can go over bills.
Some people can attest that like when I'll meet them at like previous meetups or whatever, like I will literally lock somebody down for an hour and just spurg about like whatever processes and whatever. I think I've even done it to Liam, like at KeyCon 2019.
Oh yeah.
When he asked me about the Joy Boy,
Yeah.
Joy Boy and Cap, I gave him way more information than he probably wanted at the time. But
No, probably the opposite, honestly.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'll hit you up later.
I was so infatuated with everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, still am, but even more.
Yeah. But with this hobby in particular, and like kind of all the social media we're able to use, like you do have that like veneer that you can kind of hide behind to where like you can get to like questions on like your own time. So for somebody like me that, you know, it's more introverted, like it allows me to just like, you know, handle it at my pace or whatever. So it's very convenient.
Yeah.
How about you guys? Like, do you like people reaching out? Does it get annoying? What's that?
It's not annoying, not at all.
I don't know in what sense, I guess.
Like, you know, in one way it's great that fans have access to you.
Oh, yeah.
Right? But does it ever get too much?
I don't know. I think you kind of draw your own line, right? Like I set my Discord to like away. I think that sends enough of a message, I guess. Like I don't mind getting DMs. I think it, like I said, just like reflective of how you interact with people. Like if you respond to every single DM all the time, then you're gonna get more DMs, right? So it kind of just like naturally levels out where you're most comfortable. Like if you're kind of known for messaging, but kind of not really, you'll get messages every once in a while. It's like a naturally solved system or something like that, you know?
Oh, by the way, my Discord is Rmendis. You guys have any questions for these folks? Send it to me on Discord, Rmendis.
Direct all
Asking for free cabs.
If you ask enough times.
To that question, I don't mind when people reach out. I'd like to talk to people, but if the question is, does it reach a limit? I absolutely think everything has a limit. I consider myself pretty decent at reading people, and I feel like I can kind of tell when people might have a different agenda or something, which is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I understand, but that's one of those conversations that maybe you want to keep short or just try to just stop it naturally if you can. But I do like talking to people like people who love to let you do this as a job. They're paying you to do what you want, and it's amazing. So I do like engagement. Like it really is. It's like a symbiotic relationship. So what are you gonna do? I can't just ignore everybody. So I don't want to talk to everybody. But yes, it's the only if you don't have one, it's hello gamers on Discord.
Kyle, you've done some 2D art. Did you do 2D art before you got into keycaps, or was that an after?
Yeah, I kind of had that whole cliche story of like, oh yeah, I've been drawing since like before I can remember kind of thing. But before keycaps, my sculpting experience is like very limited. I think I only did it like one time before that. But I mean, if you spend any time making like at all, you'll realize like how much sculpting you do, and like you can like really get into the weeds with it. Like again, like there's all the different materials and all that kind of stuff. So like you're kind of like, if you're into it, like you are always incentivized to like keep pushing it, getting better and all that kind of stuff. But I would say like while I would describe it as like pre-keycap art kind of like very amateurish, and I'm not saying I'm like amazing now, but like being in this environment allowed me to like take art very seriously, I guess, and like really, really like actually care, like not, you know, I'm just not doodling for fun, which is fine, which I still like to do, but
it's a lot more deliberate with sculpting.
it's deliberate. You're like thinking of like it's. I would be up here for hours telling you about all the things that I think about, like when I'm sculpting, or like how much like foresight you have to have when you like come up with an idea of like, you know, like all the colorways and like what are you gonna do with it? What's the image of it? Like all that kind of stuff.
Actually, in the next session, we'll also talk about how it's not just the concept of the sculpt, but what will the mold look like.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you tell me about that.
So we have a question from the audience, and I know people ask this of you guys all the time. So hopefully, you're taking a bit. But besides your own work, of course, what's some of your favorite sculpts from other people? Sorry, maybe.
Just like class.
Yeah, right.
No, like for real, like it's a little bit upsetting with how good the clad skull is. I know it's, no, like you can't, like everybody here I think has tried to make a skull, right? But it never
like
is as good as that one, right? Oh no, yeah, for a long time, like when we came in, that's what we would always say, is that like everybody tries.
Some form of a skull.
Yeah, exactly. But it just doesn't have the impactful simplicity that a clad skull has. And you know, you can kind of, just looking at it, you can kind of see like why it's maintained its popularity and has even grown. Even though like, you know, techniques have gotten so much more complex and people are being so detailed and so thoughtful in their designs, it's got that impactful simplicity. As far as like favorites, there's like the one sculpt that I genuinely wish I would have came up with is the box head from KWK. Like, and you know, it may not be like the most detailed, which is like probably what I'm more known for. I like putting a lot of detail on my stuff, but like context-wise and artistically, like, you know, with how popular Amazon is and everything, like I just really love the concept.
Is it
so good?
Not just the sculpt, but the concept behind it.
Yeah, like when I look at it, it's like the whole shebang or whatever, and I really love.
And for those of you who don't know, he's referring to a sculpt from Culvership Capstan. That maker worked at Amazon, wasn't a big fan of working at Amazon, and made that. So yeah.
I like the ogre a lot.
Yeah.
Fighting his thieves, but I really like the ogre a lot. Because it's got teeth. Good asshole. I like that. I like
The clack ogre is pretty.
yeah, the clack ogre. It's good.
It's got nice teeth.
Nice teeth.
Great teeth.
Very shiny.
Very sure.
I like a lot of things. I like Lettuce Ranches a lot. Frank and Lisa, it's one of my favorites. I like his Sasquatch. I've got nearly everyone. The Jack Squatch. I really like those. I like a lot of Bench's stuff. I like that. I like you guys' stuff. It's really hard. Like honestly, you're so lucky. Like it's really hard to open up any sale or any old post or any new post. Like sometimes one of my favorite keycaps are on Maker I've never seen before. Like
We're spoiled.
you're in a good time.
Yeah, there's so much
And there's
variety.
so much stimulation and amazing art, and no one's just taking an easy route. You don't just see like, you know, a little bit of Mod Podge or whatever you call it, some glitter in it. Yeah, it's real high, and everyone's cognizant not to do for the most part, not to do what someone's done before. So you get a lot of individual expression, and I'm yet to find, you know, a keycap where I can't find one aspect of it where I'm like, oh shit. So that's my answer.
Omnius's from TRMK.
Ominous.
Ominous. Shout out Omnius. Yeah, the Omnius is really good. And then when I got into it, it was really big into like Cthulhu's were really high up there for me. Again, shout out Rob. Aside that, I actually really like the BBW. That's really high up there. I think that's very similar to like my style. I like cartoony stuff and like cute stuff. Yeah, Clack Ogre's really good. Teeth.
For me, my favorite spell is still the Hunger Demon, which is another shout out. I keep shouting out. It's crazy. Ahead of its time. Still to this day, I don't think anybody's done 22. That was 4, 20, whatever, 16.
2016.
That's it. That's the go for me.
I still don't have one. Fair enough.
No, he doesn't have one, so let's keep it that way. Don't be treated.
Oh, come on, don't be bastard.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. I love a lot of stuff. There's a lot of people that are coming out that are amazing. That people have, like some people are cooking, cooking, it's good. I'm excited about what me and Arium made. There's some people here, Mason and Madison, were even though they're relatively new, amazing. It's not only just sculpting, but they're really learning how to use resin as a medium. Almost like me, I think that's really like. It's cool. Yeah, Scrooge makes caps. He just started making caps. We're going to something that we're interested in as well. It's moment waterfall. It's kind of combat single school, but I do really like the Vandal stuff.
Man, that's so good.
We got a question for you, Chad. Any chance we'll see more ducks in the future?
That was from Scrooge. 100%.
He texted it.
I get it on my duck. Maybe. I can do duck, yeah. You want duck? I'll do duck for you.
I miss the ducks.
I'll do duck. I'll do duck.
All right, we have a question for you. Indica or Satya? What are those?
That shit sends me up the wall. I'm smoking fluoride.
Which one is the next one for you?
Oh, these are Q&A questions?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Adrian, you seem to enjoy in your toys genitalia. Do you think you'll start to include them in your caps?
That's just one toy I have a chance to go to the
Yeah,
house at the moment. Yeah, it's a hyper-realistic penis. I sculpted it with my mouth. I don't know. It's supposed to be like, it's a guy who's like got nothing left, so he's got no clothes. He's wearing Crocs in space. Come on.
Is that the one on their website, Artisan website?
Yeah, I think so. So all my stuff, like I wasn't casting, I was making everything by hand from scratch, and when it was finished, it went to its home. So I didn't have like molds or anything. So I've done a lot without dicks. It's just the dicks is the most photographed one. But if you guys want dicks, I mean, I'll reach into the bag for you. Yeah, this guy, he loves them. You got a question for you? I don't know if I can call them.
Which of you guys are the craziest ideas?
The craziest ideas?
Probably you.
Yeah, probably you.
They're all saying that.
I think everybody. It's really cool to get to hang out with these guys because everybody kind of takes like different avenues, and so you can. You're in the question you're asking to like quantify like the most creative, but
Or crazy in terms of like to execute or.
Maybe fucking Arium.
Like if you like know about his like teeth staining and like all that kind of stuff, like that those techniques are pretty crazy. But
I want to die.
Somewhat related. Good question from Thrower here. Are there any ideas you had for caps or sculpts when you were early on that you feel like you weren't able to execute when you first started, but later on, you
Such a good question. That's a good question.
I for sure stopped casting certain things because like I wasn't at like the appropriate skill level to like pull it off consistently, or like it was just such a frustrating process that you know, I was better off, you know, either building skill or spending my time somewhere else. But I think I've reached a point now where like I sculpt things and I don't think about how it's going to be cast as far as like how difficult, what am I going to do for this part or whatever. And I think by doing that, like I gained like a much stronger casting skill set.
It pushed you.
Yeah, and it teaches you like all kinds of weird methods to like get things done. Like we were discussing last night how that one Ominous was casted with like the flywheels or whatever at the head, and like you know, how do you get it to be clear all the way through? But you learn a lot, like just like you know, throwing it to the wind and trying to do it. Anybody else want to
any ideas you had that you didn't feel like you could execute early on and later you got you've been around less time, so I don't know.
Yeah. So I do a lot of dumb stuff. So I don't. Okay. So this guy is like methodical as fuck. Like he'll sculpt something, and before he's even molded it. I'm sorry for speaking on your behalf.
No.
He like he's got stuff that just doesn't get released because he's like, okay, well, how's this going to shoot?
Right.
And he really
thinks all the way through.
all the way to the end, and how he's going to clean up after. And I'm like, I'm living in a pile of socks and empty bottles, and I sleep in the corner. No, I don't. But I look at my stuff and I'm like, that looks really cool. I'm going to make a mold. I'm going to cast that, and then I'll just keep trying and trying and trying. And if I can't, I'll find a way I can, and then I get really upset. And then make another thing. But like, yeah, definitely all the stuff I started with early on was over ambitious, but I feel like it also made me attempt things that not everyone was doing, like lots of overhang. Like
the rat bastard that
most of my stuff, you're shooting blinds because stuff hangs off. And so you can't see that in the mold. You can only look down and see the features that are on the surfaces of the four sides or whatever you've got. But if you've got, again, teeth or a nose that hooks up like our new sculpt, don't laugh what I say to you. You have to like look at the mold from a funny angle, line the tool up, put it back down, drop it, put it on a weird angle to set while you're working on the next one. It's annoying, but like, I don't know. I don't have a choice. I'm not smart as you.
The question is then anything that any ideas
I don't know. Like you said, I'm pretty methodical about stuff. Yeah. Like generally, I won't make a sculpt unless I know for a fact I can cast it relatively easily. In my mind, what's easy is like not what he does, like overhangs and stuff that you can only really single shot. So yeah, if I can't like think the thing all the way through, I just don't do it, you know.
Does that mean you do more revisions, or you just don't do the thing?
So I'll only make a new sculpt if I think like I can shoot it easily. It can take like 5 or 6 colors, because to me that's like what makes it a keycap. Is like a sculpt that's just like 2 colors never really interested me. So like you can get like 5, 6, 7 like clean shots on a sculpt, like that's really good, and you can get like a lot of life out of that. And I think that's what I like, is I like being able to make the same sculpt over and over and over and just do like a million colorways for it, because for me that's a lot of fun. Yeah, basically for me it's a lot of fun. It makes my life a little easier, and whenever I release a sculpt, it's just very thought out, in my opinion. Like I take a long time to workshop a new sculpt, and that's why you don't see them very often. So, but yeah, you asked in terms of like casting and stuff, like the older stuff.
Yeah.
The Pocky, I wish I could. I bet I could do it now.
You mean you didn't feel like when you first made it, you could cast it well?
No, not at all. Yeah, there's one like with mold with more than one color. yeah, I was like trying to do like a weird multi-part mold thing at the time, and I was just like, no freaking way. I bet I could do it now, but I got other. I'm trying to work. Yeah, maybe in 2 or 3 more years, I'll get around to it.
You've done some pretty sophisticated resin writing, so I'm sure now if you revisit the podcast,
Right.
probably.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's just no, you're not interested in doing that.
Yeah, in a couple of years, I'll get back to it probably.
Cool.
He's cooking though. He's cooking.
I'm cooking.
He's cooking up. Is it the same question? What was it? It was over
Any ideas or sculpts you made early on that you felt you couldn't execute on well enough, right? But now that you've gotten better.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, that was the whole rebrand thing. Is I didn't think I could do, or I was like, okay, maybe I'm good enough to do what I really wanted to do, and it worked out for me. I was able to. I was really able to just rebrand and have fun, and that was the best. But also, I think that's kind of like when people make a V2. Why do you make a V2? You think you can do it better than you did in the past, and that's usually almost always the case. I think you may be really attached to that character or something, and you don't want to let it go, but you want to maybe reimagine it or manifest it. It's as what you really think of it when you picture it in your mind. You know, you have this, like, if you do have characters for your caps, which I do have, like, all mine have their own individual characters, but if you have it, you're like, okay, he doesn't look like that to me. The BBW1, for example, is like, he looks kind of like a duck, right? I don't want that. I want to make him.
It's so much better for it, I think.
Yeah, well, he's like,
I love it.
You've done one thing, you've probably done more sculpt revision releases
Oh, yeah.
than a lot of folks. Like you had 3 Daphnes, I think.
Yeah.
You've had, you know, it's not technically a version, but you went from PW to BBC.
Yeah.
Tell us about what, like, when do you feel like, oh, it's time for a new version? Like, is it when you feel like you can improve the sculpt, or you get tired of the casting?
I think it's more the tired, but I'm pretty careful with my mental, I guess, burnout. I always try to avoid getting to the point where I'm not having fun. So if I can sense that maybe that's coming soon, within a couple weeks or months, whatever, then I'll start working on whatever new, whether it's a revision or a new sculpt or something, just to keep things fresh. Because I don't ever want to feel like it's like this is a job and I just have to do, like, I just gotta clock in and make whatever colorway or whatever. No, I always tell Aaron when he got in. That's why I think he really acclimated to the hobby. It's just have fun, have as much fun as you can. That's what I tell people. But it's not the only piece of advice, but to me, it's like probably my biggest mantra. Is just keep having fun, keep doing it. And if that's revising the sculpt, then revise the sculpt. I mean, I did 3 friggin' Daffy dies.
And Liam, do you think your more deliberate approach to thinking it out is what minimizes revisions on your side? Because you haven't done a ton of revisions, right? Of Bongo, there's maybe 1?
Yeah, there's like the V2 or whatever, but the V1 was garbage. It was like really, really bad, I thought. Yeah, I guess so, maybe. But there are stuff I still want to revise. Like I think the Pocky was a fun idea, and I think the Plague Doctor was a really fun idea, and I just, I want to always revisit them, you know. I think I'm not opposed to V2s or anything. I think they're great. Like Egg Face V2 is like one of the greatest of all time, I think, you know. But yeah, I would like to do V2s. I'm not opposed to it.
Adrian and Kyle, any happy mistakes that you made, like where you didn't plan on something, is a good question for Max, I think, where it wasn't what you originally envisioned, that came out great.
So me go first.
Yeah.
I can't think of one.
I mean, you could probably say that like about all of my sculpts in some fashion. Like, I'm much less methodical than Liam. I usually start out with like a basic drawing, and the end product looks like completely different, because I think I like that element of like ripping as I go along, because, you know, like your mind changes as you, or my mind changes as I continue a sculpt. And yeah, I would say that like 99% of the things that I do, they look very different from the initial drawing or even idea that I had. But I just like starting from a general idea.
Okay. Adrian, I have a question for you from the audience here. What's it? There's not many makers from Australia.
Yeah.
Is that because it's difficult?
Cause, yeah, sure.
Is it because it's difficult to cast upside down?
Well, I mean, if you've got your harness on.
Not your harness. No, any particular reason you think that? Is it just because there's not much of a community there? Like,
There is a community. There is a community. Yeah.
of artisan what? Or no?
Yeah, you could call them that. No, there is a community. Famously, they don't like me very much, but there's a community there, and there's some amazing makers actually. But like, I feel like they've got a little bit of because they have their own servers and stuff. There's a little bit of trepidation of trickling in. Maybe I don't know the answer to that one, but yeah, they definitely are, and check them out. KeyCap was OG. There are others, I'm sure. There are. Simpra, he makes the thing with the long nose. They're very good.
Oh, he's Australian?
He's Australian.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's been around a long time.
Yeah,
I used to talk to him a lot when I was first like buying all my gear and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's very nice.
You guys have done collabs to some degree. Are there any makers, past or present, you haven't collabed with that you would love to?
All of them. Just slowly, not all at once.
Yeah.
Because I'm really crap. Like I have piles of other people's sculpts I'm supposed to be working on. And you know, like a cast takes 8 to 14 hours really for me. And then sculpting, like getting refinement in, like getting an idea in, I can do in a day. Getting refinement in to the point where not only is an aesthetic design, but as a functioning part of your keyboard, so that all the walls are nice, all the geometry is nice, there's no thin spots. And that's going from plastic to clay to plastic to clay to like, literally for the Rat Bastard, which I never even released, there was 38 molds and each one's a separate revision.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's just because I made a keycap that I thought looked really cool, but it's yeah, if you really want to feel bad about yourself, go about it that way. Yeah, so if you're looking for a drug addiction.
How about you, Wiz? Chad, any makers you'd love to collab with at some point?
TRMK. I really want to.
Make it obvious.
I don't know what I want to make, but I just really like their aesthetic a lot. They're probably my favorite right now. I just really like their work. They seem like they have like a fun approach to a lot of what they get up to.
Their packaging is my favorite.
They have the best packaging ever.
Chad's as well.
And so many people have copied it now. It was so
The
good.
Chad and the TRMK, the retail package was
So good.
It's so cool.
So good. I love it.
Chad, any collab wishes?
Anybody, I mean, me and Liam have been working on something for 3 years. I was just
And it's not even a joke.
It's gonna be cool. It's just fun. It's just fun to work with your friends and people that you. It's another excuse to hang out. I mean,
Oh, exactly.
that's why every time we see each other, it's like, let's go to Halloween parties instead and not do anything work with it.
Yeah, that's a trash.
Kyle is obviously me and him have to do something. We've been in talks. Me and Arium, we tend to, for some reason, it just clicked. I mean, he came over to my house before we came here. He stayed for about a week. And I didn't really expect to really do much, but we just sort of like passing back and forth at synth, which is Binge and sounds really amazing tool.
And JQ.
And JQ, sorry, to make masters. And we just kept passing back and forth, and within a day we had something that we really liked. Again, to his point, you know, we did as much as we could to make sure that it was a good castable, thick cap. Like, you're never really going to know all the time until you put it in the mold and see what the geometry is like inside of it. So we're going to revise that and make it a little bit easier for us, or we're just going to get better at casting arms. I really like it up to the point. But other than that, I mean, Frank and Lisa, Binge would be sick. Everybody, the new guys here, passed on when they saw Scrooge doing the talk about pretty cool.
So last question from the audience, and thanks for all you guys for being patient and sending your questions in. This one's from Ivan. stepping back a little bit, right? So the hobby's contracted. You guys have seen, I think, a little bit of contraction after COVID. Do you think that's been, good, bad? What's your thoughts on that from an artisan's perspective?
I mean, it's natural, it's cyclical. You never have another contraction. You birth a baby. The hobby slows. You gotta write it out. I can't control anything. Just have fun.
Don't worry about what you can't control, right?
Yeah, it goes up and down. I just try to stay optimistic. I try to tell them to be like, if it's worth it, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. I mean, look at the turnout, KeyCon is great. Just getting together and things like this that just keep fostering the growth of the community and the hobby as well. It's good to see a lot of the same people come up and then a lot of new people. I don't know. Yeah, we're gonna give birth to make it better. It's gonna get better.
Artisan keycaps too.
Me too.
No, I think it's a fine thing. I mean, at its peak, the hobby was ridiculous. It was like stressful, and honestly, it wasn't really that fun. I think now at this point, it's a lot more approachable for new makers to come in. I think people are much more receptive to new sculpts and new concepts and designs and stuff. I think it just fosters like like a lot of new stuff coming out, because when the hobby's peaking, there's very little incentive to like put out new stuff. And I'm guilty of it, of course, everyone is, I think. So yeah, when the hobby contracts, you can kind of do whatever you want and get away with it.
So for me, I only knew it once, so I only known two. So there's two sides to it for me. This is the era we're in now, or the pace where we're in now. One, it allows me to do more stuff. So I find that I'm doodling more. And I never did that. I always was like sketching and then like chatting to my friends and saying, what do you think if I did this? And like very deliberate. And now like I'm just watching TikToks and smushing clay with my thumb. But like I'm just like, I'm making shit without a plan. And
More spontaneous?
yeah, because like I don't feel any pressure.
Yeah.
So I can just have fun. And I also find, like, to Liam's point as well, that there's a lot more people chatting in like Lightning Server and a few others. So shout out Diego.
Shout out Lightning Server.
Yeah, Lightning Crew. Woo, woo. And you see people who you knew 6 months ago as a hobbyist, and now they're posting pictures of the stuff they're making.
Yeah.
And that's cool.
Yeah.
So I think it's good.
It's a good healthy sign of the growth.
Yeah.
Well, not just growth, but that like, you know, but there's
Give me that.
it's a good sign that when somebody gets into the hobby, they want to invest further and then develop their own skills and then ultimately add to the variety that we get to see. As far as like my thoughts on like the contractions and stuff like that, again, I think it's natural too. But it's a necessary cycle. Like you can't, like when something gets too bloated for too long, you know, it becomes like malignant or whatever to a degree, and you could probably make a case for that at the tail end of the boom.
Well, there's I think a bit of a feel like it's a cash grab with all.
Yeah, exactly. But like, you know, and then so like, some people may call it a culling or whatever, but like, we do that contraction, and then we get the community refines itself. I've said refinement a lot. I really like that word, but the community refines itself. We get to refine ourselves. Again, like. How many new sculpts, if you've been paying attention, like how many new sculpts have come out since the beginning of the year? Quite a few compared to like the last couple of years. And this period allows us to just screw around and, like you said, just have fun and try new ideas as we go back up again or whatever path it tends to take.
So overall, net positive.
Net positive.
But I'm sure if the peak of the hobby, we would say it's also net positive.
Rmendis, you also
Well,
know the
everything's
numbers.
always good.
How are the
Yeah.
numbers? You're the one.
It's just
Yeah.
Yeah, give him the
I
mic.
have to publish the numbers at some point. Well, look, we're at time, but I want to thank you guys a lot. You know, I know it was a morning session, always tough, and
Yeah, I'm gonna take
these
my
guys have
hat.
been great support, and great questions.
Not you.
Thanks for having us.